好，我哋差唔多記者會開始啦，唔該晒，大家可以讓翻第一排俾我哋係啦。
OK， 好。
好，歡迎大家嚟到。
Welcome to the end of term press conference by the President. The President will first speak and then the floor will be open to questions. Now over to the President. Thank you. Friends of the media, good afternoon. Today, I am going to review the work of the 7th Legislative Council with you. With the steadfast support of the country, this term of the Legislative Council is the first to be formed following the improvement of the electoral system and the implementation of the principle of patriots administering Hong Kong. The Legislative Council and the executive authorities have pioneered a new relationship of constructive interaction and successfully reversed the previous stalemate of internal strife while returning to a rational and pragmatic course. Members of this term have demonstrated remarkable diligence and capability in actively scrutinizing various important bills with quality and efficiency. Their substantial achievements fully reflect their sense of responsibility. I would therefore sum up the performance of this term of the Council as one of refusing to take the easy path and tackling challenges head-on and offering constructive advice and achieving tangible results through diligent work. It is a pivotal turning point for Hong Kong to transition from chaos to order and from stability to prosperity. In the 2025 legislative session, the Council passed a total of 41 government bills and 2 members' bills, all of which play a vital role in advancing our economic development and improving people's livelihood. Some bills addressed long-standing issues in the society and presented considerable challenges during deliberation. Some examples are bills on the regulatory regime for basic housing units to phase out substandard subdivided units, the regulation of ride-hailing services, and the introduction of new tobacco control measures to combat illicit cigarettes, ban flavored smoking products, and so on to protect the health of the public. Among the bills scrutinized was the highly contentious registration of same-sex partnerships bill. Members thoroughly considered views from all sectors of the community in balancing traditional values with the broader public interest. The final voting outcome accurately reflected mainstream public sentiment. Although the bill was not passed, the entire process was transparent and open, and members were able to freely speak their views, and it also demonstrated the spirit of the rule of law. It also exemplified how, under an executive-led system, the executive, legislative, and judicial branches each fulfill their respective roles, showing mutual respect and exercising checks and balances. In the 4-year term of the 7th Legislative Council, a total of 135 meetings were held, lasting approximately 1,246 hours. A total of 130 bills were passed, 60% more than the 81 bills passed during the same period in the previous term. Among the bills passed, the most important one was, of course, the Safeguarding National Security Bill. The third reading of the bill was passed unanimously on the 19th of March last year. The local legislation for Article 23 of the Basic Law was successfully enacted. Our constitutional responsibility was finally fulfilled after a delay of over 26 years. This legislation, together with the Hong Kong National Security Law, formed the dual legislation and dual enforcement mechanism to close the gap in the safeguarding of national security in the SAR. Hong Kong could then focus on boosting the economy and pursuing development. This term of the Council has also passed several important bills to support the Chief Executive's policy agenda. Some of the bills aim to streamline the mechanism for extending land leases to maintain the confidence of owners and investors. And this will also allow banks to offer long-term mortgage, and so the public will be more at ease in buying their homes. There's another bill to provide tax concessions to bring more funds and family offices of strong potential to Hong Kong. And there's also a bill to improve tax arrangements to enhance Hong Kong's competitiveness as a regional intellectual property trading center. A number of bills aimed at improving people's livelihood were also passed. For example, bills to reform district councils and improve governance at the district level. bills to establish a system for the mandatory reporting of child abuse, a bill to implement traffic rationalization among the free road harbor crossings, and a bill to abolish MPF offsetting arrangement. These bills are in sync with reality and aim to benefit the public. During deliberations, members rigorously scrutinized each clause and actively contributed suggestions to improve the legislation. In this term of the Council, nearly half of the amendments proposed by the government to bills were introduced after incorporating members' views. For example, the 181 clause safeguarding national security bill. All 91 amendments proposed by the government originated from recommendations of the Bills Committee. This fully demonstrates the executive's receptiveness to constructive suggestions, accepting proposals from legislators as spokespersons of the public, while the legislature has fulfilled its role of assisting without holding back and overseeing without being obstructive. It is the best demonstration of constructive interaction between the executive and the legislature. In respect of subsidiary legislation, 659 pieces of subsidiary legislation by negative vetting were scrutinized in this term. For example, the scrutiny of 2 pieces of subsidiary legislation under the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance was completed in May this year to further improve the national security framework. The government also moved a total of 55 motions to approve or amend subsidiary legislation by positive vetting. All the motions were passed. On monitoring the work of the government, members asked 570 oral questions and 3,292 supplementary questions, as well as 1,890 written questions. The questions were focused on economic and livelihood issues that are close to heart to the people of Hong Kong. Over the past 4 years, the Council has debated 165 members' motions without legislative effect on issues such as advancing the development of the Northern Metropolis, creating new economic growth points, and enhancing population-related policies. During the debates, members put forward concrete proposals on matters of public interest, of public concern. Under the principle of patriots administering Hong Kong and the executive-led system, the executive and the legislature have established a multi-tiered and comprehensive mechanism. I am grateful to the Chief Executive for his various innovative initiatives in proposing the Anti-Chamber Exchange Session and the Chief Executive's Interactive Exchange Question and Answer Session. These sessions have further institutionalized exchanges between the executive and the legislature. They allow legislators to convey directly public views gathered to government officials. Many forward-looking and effective proposals have been incorporated by the Chief Executive into the policy address to become part of the governance blueprint. As a vital member of the Hong Kong SAR's governing team, the Legislative Council carries a heavy responsibility. Members keep to the ethos of there is no best, only better, as they consciously strive to strengthen self-oversight through higher standards and improve the system for performing their duties so as to meet the expectations of the country and the different sectors of the community. And these expectations are ever increasing. Taking stock of the overall experience of members, the code for members of the Legislative Council was formulated. The new code will be implemented in the next Legislative Council. It will help to enhance the transparency and accountability of members' performance, provide clearer guidance for the performance of duties, and facilitate more efficient fulfillment of duties. In return, the Council will be able to better discharge its constitutional functions and help the SAR government to improve its governance. The term of this Council has spared no effort in fostering connections to both the mainland and the world. We help to promote Hong Kong's connections and exchanges with the mainland and other regions. We are committed to integrating into the overall national development. We also support the strategies to foster friendships with neighboring countries and deepening the Belt and Road Initiative. Legislative Council delegations have conducted study visits to the Greater Bay Area, Fujian Province, 3 ASEAN countries, and Japan. Various panels also visited various mainland cities. Our Mainland visits focused on innovation and technology, youth development, and cross-boundary healthcare. Our overseas visits centered on economic and trade cooperation, enhancing people-to-people exchanges, developing tourism, and telling good stories of the country and Hong Kong. I've also invited consuls general to the council for gatherings and exchanges to expand our circle of friends and explore further collaboration opportunities. Dear friends of the media, I have served as a Legislative Council member for 21 years and have been the president of this council since 2016. I have witnessed Hong Kong's transition from chaos to order and the new era of moving from stability to prosperity. It has been an immense honor and a profound privilege for me to work shoulder to shoulder with fellow members, to work in collaboration with the administration, and to stand united with the community through thick and thin. I shall cherish these experiences deeply. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the Legislative Council Secretariat for their professional support and advice, which has ensured the smooth operation of the Council. As an international financial center and the country's only common law jurisdiction, Hong Kong possesses irreplaceable competitive edges in terms of our tradition of the rule of law, talent flows, capital flows, and East meets West culture. It is also the unique advantage which we can contribute to national development. One country, two systems is the best institution for Hong Kong to maintain long-term prosperity and stability. It must be upheld in the long run. This is not only the earnest instruction of the central government, but also the direction in which all Legislative Council members must move. As the people's representatives, legislators must act in the overall interests of Hong Kong and align further with national development strategies. I am sure that the mission to be people-oriented and united in purpose will be carried forward by the new Legislative Council. The nomination period for the 8th Legislative Council general election commences this Friday. I encourage capable individuals who love our country and Hong Kong and who aspire to serve the public to come forward and run in the election. I also urge voters to turn out in force on the 7th of December to elect legislators of integrity and competence to serve Hong Kong and contribute to our nation. Thank you.
The floor is now open to media's questions. Please identify your media organization before you speak. President, I'm from Singtao Daily. President, this is your 9th year. You have been serving as the president of the LegCo. You have been the longest serving president in record. So what advice will you give to your successor? Especially, you have experienced the transition from chaos to stability. Now, 4 years ago, we have improved the electoral system with patriots governing Hong Kong. However, it seems that the executive branch is taking the lead and there is not much room for members to speak, especially when the valedictory motion has been withdrawn. So how would you view the ecosystem now? Would you advise members to speak carefully? I will first take your second question. Under the principle of patriots administering Hong Kong, there is much room for members to speak. But we should all focus on improving livelihood of the people. We must stay united and support the governance of the executive branch. I've been serving as a member in the LegCo for 21 years. I witnessed the high and lows of the relations between the executive and legislative branches. Now I've seen the era when I was the chairman of the House Committee. During that time, the relations was one of confrontation and dispute. I never expected that the situation would improve to what we have now. So you've asked the chairperson of the House Committee why we were able to pass so many bills with such little time. That's because we have bid farewell to internal strife. There is no more adjournment of meetings and filibustering. Members can speak their hearts in council. Not just in the chamber, members can speak freely outside of LegCo to the media. So of course, there are some sentiments on the cups of bidding farewell to LegCo which may affect members' feelings. But I think as LegCo members of the 7th-term LegCo, we have to ask ourselves whether we have contributed to Hong Kong. We have addressed many long-standing and deep-rooted issues which have been troubling us in the past. So I hope this would be passed on, the spirit would be passed on to the next LegCo. Now, as the president of LegCo, the job is simple. We need to listen to members' views and we have to be fair. And we must have a macro perspective. At the same time, we must be able to communicate with individual members. Next question. The lady over there. President, I'm from Hong Kong 01. Now, starting from 2004, you have joined the LegCo for 21 years. So in this next election, what qualities should we be looking for in candidates? Now, individual morality and family values, should these be considered as well? Now, about the withdrawal of the valedictory motion, the chairperson of the House Committee mentioned that some members were of the view that moving the valedictory motion would affect the fairness of the upcoming election. However, in year 2021, the motion was moved 2 days before the nomination period, but there was no concern of fairness. So how would it affect the fairness of the upcoming election? Now, the questions you asked have been answered by the chairperson of the House Committee, together with Mr. Martin Liao and other members. Now, some members have voiced their concerns to them, and after due assessments, they thought by withdrawing the valedictory motion, it would be fair to the election. The situation differs in each term. So I respect the assessments conducted by the honorable members. So that's my brief answer to your questions. Next. Hong Kong Economic Times. Good afternoon. I'm from Hong Kong Economic Times. 2 questions for the President. Now, in this term of the Council, 60% more bills have been passed by the LegCo. Now, despite this achievement, many members have announced that they would not run for re-election. But they have been doing a good job. Would the President find it unfortunate? And how do you view their revelation? Now, Mr. Tam Yu-jung said that the executive branch and the Legislative Council are collaborating closely, and it seems that the two are a revolving door. So would you think that former LegCo members should become government officials, just like in Macau? Do you think this would be beneficial to Hong Kong? And do you foresee that happening? On your second question about the so-called revolving door, now in this term of LegCo, 5 former members have become government officials. It is their choice, and the government think they are capable, so that's all. That's well. And that's the so-called revolving door mentioned by Mr. Tam Yu-jung. Now, the relation between the Legislative Council and the Executive Branch must be executive-led and one of check and balance. When the two can function in synchrony, society will be benefited, not just council members. We are working shoulder to shoulder for the good of the people in Hong Kong. That's what we want to see. Now, during the seminar last week, I have said the same to the media. It's just that you did not capture the spirit of my speech. In every term of LegCo, there were members who did not seek re-election. In the second and third term, more than 30% of the 60 members chose not to run for re-election. So that's about 20 members for each term. Now, in the previous two terms, the fifth and the sixth term, the percentage was 40%. So among the 70 members, 40% mean, again, 20 members who did not seek re-election. So it's not extraordinary. Of course, the previous term was unique in that 60% of the members did not seek re-election. So that's the situation in Hong Kong. But if you look at other legislative councils elsewhere, sometimes more than half of the members would step down. So we don't need to overinterpret this. If 80 members remain in the 89-strong council, that would not be healthy as well. So far, some 20 members have announced that they will not run for an election. So if the percentage is 40%, the number would be 36. So this term of LegCo has not deviated significantly from the previous trend. Next question. President, I'm from Cable News. 2 questions. Now, the farewell banquets and the valedictory motion have been cancelled. Now, some members mentioned in private that the council is in a somber atmosphere. Is that your feeling as well? Second question. There were reports that the amendments moved by members as well as public hearing, time spent on these areas have been reduced. For example, the scrutiny time for the Safeguarding National Security Bill and other bills have become shorter. So despite the availability of a platform, there is not much room for members to voice their views. Is that true? Now, about the end-of-term banquets and its cancellation. Indeed, some members considered it would not be appropriate to hold the end-of-term banquets. So I have had a discussion with the Office of the Chief Executive and we decided to cancel it. I have explained the reason behind. Now, about the atmosphere. Now, close to the end of this session, there may be sad feelings, and that may explain the somber atmosphere. We are confident that we have given our best to contribute to Hong Kong. So I think members would be happy that we have achieved so much during our term of office. Now, about the time spent on scrutiny of bills. We spent less time on the scrutiny process because there is no filibustering. All questions were pertinent questions. Now, in the previous term, there were 40 or even 50 members asking questions in the Bills Committee, and the questions they asked were not relevant to the bill. That was not effective scrutiny. So I think your question is very good. You mentioned the Safeguarding National Security Bill or Article 23 legislation. I remember we spent 7 days, 50 hours on scrutinizing the bill. So you made a comparison with the previous term. Now, in the previous term, there were a lot of filibustering. True, we spent 7 days on scrutinizing the bill, but we have asked close to 2,000 questions. A lot of constructive views were given, so that among the 191 clauses, 82 were, or 91 were amended, arising from members' suggestions, more than half. So this shows that the government is receptive of members' views and suggestions. So the bill was a good example, showing that longer time spent on scrutiny may not be better. The point is we need to be detailed. Now, I don't believe there will be many bills with so many amendments made. So it's not a question about time. So sometimes we held public hearings. Sometimes we invited public submissions. Each Bills Committee would consider views of the public. Now take the registration for same-sex partnership bill as an example. We did not hold public hearing, but we have received a large amount of public opinions which were considered by members. So the voting outcome was aligned with the public opinion on the issue. So we are not working in silo.
Sorry, speaker is not coming through. Well, sometimes we could, consider the issue, but others we need to address issues. For example, basic housing units is about resolving an issue. We won't be listening to views for 3 years like what we did in the past. Otherwise, nothing gets done. If something is pressing, we work faster. And if something is challenging, then we need to listen to more views and we'll take it step by step. So there are different approaches to different issues.
From SMP. So first, you highlighted the accomplishments of this LegCo, but there is opinion poll showed that over 50% of the public expressed their dissatisfaction over lawmakers' performance, and we also see the public may not pay much attention to the work of the LegCo. So why is the public not seeing this in the same way? Does this imply the current LegCo maybe failed to convey public concerns? And what should the next LegCo do maybe to rebuild its credibility and to gain public trust? And second, to look back on the 9-year tenure as LegCo President, what is your biggest regret? Thank you.
I think if you look at, the legislative process is so boring. It's not a soap opera that is, becoming so sensational. Even, I noticed that even journalists like you are not, tracking the whole process. Okay, so not only Hong Kong, other, jurisdiction, unless the piece of legislation concern the public. Otherwise, why should the public concentrate on the boring process? So the other thing is that in this LegCo, everything is open, transparent. You can watch us on your phone, you can watch us on your TV, you can also, when you have time, you can dig back, whichever, whenever the meeting on the subject you concern. And you can find out details which legislator said whatever, and so the transparency is the one thing that keep us connect to the public. Whoever interested in certain subject can find it easily. Our hands are open right now with our system, all the proceeding, you can view it on paper form, on the web, within days. So it's transparent. And together, I think for the next session, we have a very good system to carry on. We have a very good secretariat, led by the Secretary General to help our members to fulfill their duties. So I don't think we will have any problem with the next Legislative Council member coming in. Obviously, we always encourage our members to be more transparent, to liaise and with their constituent, to make our process as clear as possible. But again, as I mentioned, the legislative process is very, very boring. It's just not a soap opera. You just vote yes, or somebody just kill the bill, vote down the bill. Okay, it's a process. Start from the panel, then first reading, second reading, House Committee, and then Bills Committee, and then back to House Committee before you resume second and third reading. I have no regret. I think at least I try my best even at the most difficult time. And even during the most difficult time, I face the problem straight on. Even there might be a threat on my safety, I still carry on without any fear.
I'm from Ming Pao. There are a number of well-known members who've announced they would not run for another election. So what is the estimate of the voter turnout rate this time? Secondly, now, there are members who omitted to declare interest, and they only declared the interest after there were inquiries from the press. So would you follow up on these cases? Firstly, well, there is not any hard indicator on the voters' turnout rate. Just now appealed to the public to vote in the election on the 7th of December. I think the public should really discharge their duties to vote in the election, and we should all work together. Now, the 8th Legislative Council will, have an impact on the future of Hong Kong, so we must all perform our roles. On the omission of declaration of interest, I think you've already asked them. As what I read from news report, I'm sure they will take actions as soon as possible. Now, I must appeal to members of the 8th Legislative Council to be more careful, because there will be a new system in place, and so these cases will be handled, if there are such cases, they will be handled in the next term. Thank you. Good afternoon, President. Yesterday, Ms. Sarli said that there will be a keen competition in the upcoming election. Just now, a colleague asked you what should be the attributes of a person who wants to run an election. So do you think personal integrity is important? Now, I see there are many young and capable individuals have said that they are keen to run in the election. Now, the chamber is like a fish tank. We are fish swimming in a tank. Everyone could see us clearly. So that's why everyone must act very carefully. And if someone is a member of this council, he's also serving as an example. So we must make sure we conduct ourselves properly. And even if it's about our own private lives, we need to serve as an example, because everyone is watching us. Now we want more young people of integrity and who are keen to serve Hong Kong to come forward and run in the election. Thank you. Any other questions?
Two questions from China Daily. The chief executive recently reaffirmed the executive-led system and stressing the mutual coordination, mutual checks and balance. What's your views on this? And how do you assess the current LegCo's performance in striking this balance? And the second question is, the LegCo is facing a huge turnover, and what are your key expectations for the next term? Thanks.
I think, I agree with the chief executive. I think it's an executive-led, system in Hong Kong. But under Article 73 in the Basic Law, we have our duty to perform. We obviously have to work with the government, but on the other hand, we have the check and balance as well. So we are not a rubber stamp. We have a duty to perform. And by the executive and legislative doing their duty, then the result is for a better Hong Kong and for the better, for the people of Hong Kong. Your second question? Well, I think, I'll expect, the next term, the legislator will be, a lot better than us, because we have set a good example, and they have to work harder to fulfill the expectation from the people of Hong Kong.
好，下一條中台。
Next question. I'm from Commercial Radio. Just now you mentioned that during the scrutiny process of bills, some members may find the process boring. However, some members of the public claim that they don't know the new faces in the LegCo. So do you think the members of the next term of LegCo should strive for better popularity? And there are some concerns on whether we need 90 members in LegCo. So what is your view? There is strength in numbers. We have 18 panels. That's excluding the House Committee, the Finance Committee, the Committee on Rules of Procedures, and so on. That brings the number to more than 20. Under each panel, there are also subcommittees. There's 30 to 40 of them, and then there is also bills committees, 40 to 50 of them. There are 90 members, so there is division of labor. It's just that you will not cover each and every meeting. So in fact, we need a lot of members to share the workload. So I don't think we should reduce the number of members in the council. On your first point about the popularity of members, of course, we have a lot of veteran members in this term of LegCo, but we also have a lot of new faces. There were 59 new members and only some 20 veterans. So all the new faces alike, with the professional support of the Secretariat, members can perform their duties efficiently. In the next term of LegCo, there will still be a lot of veterans. Now, like I always said, there are 90 characters on the stage. So if you are a spectator, you cannot recognize each face. But LegCo members are not actors. we deliver results. We don't have to tell the public that we are the main characters in the show. So if you ask people in other places, it would be difficult for them to name 10 members of the parliament as well. So we are not in the showbiz. We are working for the benefits of the Hong Kong people. So as long as results are delivered, you will be recognized by the public. Next question.
Over the past 4 years, may I ask what's your observation to the public attitude, and how would you respond to comments that this LegCo has been a rubber stamp? And second, in your view, what will the next LegCo be like, and how will it be different from your term? Thanks.
I think the rubber stamp, I've been saying that if we are rubber stamp, we will not propose so many amendments. Like the Article 23 bills, our members work for 50 hours for 7 days with the administration. We propose, or they listen to the suggestions of the legislator in the Bills Committee to amend 91 clauses out of 181. If it's rubber stamp, why waste time? You just come in, present first reading and second reading, we straight away resume third reading and put a stamp on. Why would we waste all the time? Okay? The second example is the bill that we rejected, the 英文係咩？同性伴侶係 the same sex, that bill. Why would we, if we are rubber stamp, why would we vote it down? Okay? And the work of the Legislative Council is not only passing the bills, but we have other functions like to, the question time, when we question government, if we have rubber stamp, why embarrass the government and to do that? So this is one thing that we need to work hard. The next council also need to work hard to show Hong Kong people that we are not rubber stamp.
好啦，仲有冇提問？
Any more questions? Hong Kong Economic Journal. President, just a brief question. Now the end of term banquet has been cancelled, but according to some media reports, the banquet will be held tomorrow. Is that true? And Mrs. Regina Ip said she will not be available tomorrow for the banquet. So her decision, do you think this is a sign of support, or how would you view the situation? Now, first thing first, it's not like the banquet would be conducted as usual because the chief executive will not be present. Today, we have had a council meal. That's the same for every Wednesday. During council, we would have an arrangement to have food brought into the complex for members. Now, since the banquet was cancelled last week, and the caterer has already charged us already, so tomorrow the caterer will bring the food we have ordered for us. Members are not required to be present. Whoever want to join can join, and there will not be any ceremony. So it's not like a resurrection of the banquet. It's just a simple lunch. It's just that tomorrow it will be held on Thursday because there are still because the caterer would like to compensate us for our order. That concludes today's media briefing. Thank you.